KITV4 News and CivilBeat.com present our Commitment 2014 debate for Hawaii's next governor.
A former lieutenant governor, a former Honolulu mayor, and a state senator. Three men who now want the state's top job. Tonight, they'll try to win your vote. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our gubernatorial debate hosted by KITV4 and CivilBeat.com. I'm Paula Akana. I'll be your moderator tonight, and for the next hour, the top candidates for governor will be asked a series of questions. We'd like to thank the front runners for joining us tonight, Mr. Duke Iona, Mr. David Ige, and Mr. Mufi Hanneman. Mahalo for being with us this evening. And our panelists this evening are KITV4 News reporters Andrew Pereira and Catherine Cruz, and Chad Blair from CivilBeat.com. Now, in addition to our live broadcast, this debate is being streamed live on KITV.com and CivilBeat.com. So we want to go to our web center where we find KITV4's Laura Yamada. Laura?
All right, thanks a lot, Paula. We've been looking at questions all afternoon and all evening on our Facebook page and Twitter page as well. We've gotten quite a few good questions already. It's going to be tough to narrow it down, but really easy. All you have to do now is go to our live wire discussion. It's up on KITV.com. You can see what everybody else is commenting on during the debate, and you can add your own comments too. The easiest, fastest way to do that is through Twitter. Just go to hashtag KITVdebate, and we're going to be asking the candidates some of those questions later in the hour. Paula?
All right, thanks, Laura. Looking forward to those questions. But here are the rules for tonight's debate. When a candidate is asked a question by one of our panelists, he will have 1 minute to answer. The opposing candidates will then have 45 seconds each for their rebuttal. And a little later in our broadcast, the candidates will also have the opportunity to ask questions of each other. All right, we're going to begin now with KITV4's Andrew Pereira with a question for Duke Iona.
Gentlemen, thank you all for joining us this evening. Mr. Iona, what is the greatest problem facing the state of Hawaii, and what would you do to try and fix it?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. There's several problems, but I think I would focus immediately upon the jobs, economy, and, cost of living. I think those are some of the biggest problems we have in the state right now, and obviously what we need to do is cost of living is something like an elephant in the room. How do you treat an elephant? Well, you eat it, take it one bite at a time. And likewise with the cost of living, you do it one bite at a time. In regards to jobs and economy, we're going to have to play to what I call our naturally competitive industries. And that's things like renewable energy, dual technology, marine and ocean science, and things of that nature. So we have to grow those industries. And tourism will always be there for us, and I think we can expand our economy, get livable wages in regards to our jobs, and of course, we can touch on the cost of living through taxes, etc., by eliminating more taxes.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Iona. Mr. Hanneman, rebuttal?
Yeah, I think it's clear that the situation calls for change. The Lingo Iona administration had 8 years to implement many of the changes that we see continuing to persist today. And they couldn't get many of those things done because they couldn't figure out a strategy of how to get their bills, their initiatives through an entrenched Democratic majority. A record number of bills that they submitted that were vetoed by the governor was overturned by the legislature, over 100 over an 8-year period, including a record 38 in 1 year. So I don't believe that the current candidate for governor running on the Republican Party is going to be able to effectuate much change. I believe it'll be same old results that occur with the entrenched Democratic majority in the legislature.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hanneman. Mr. Ige?
Thank you. I really believe that the biggest challenge before the people of Hawaii really is about our public schools. It is about making investments in the public school, empowering schools, and getting those closest to the children to give them the authority and the resources to make a difference. I know growing up that it really is the relationship between the teacher and the child that is most important in improving education. Education is the foundation of our economy. It's the foundation of our society. It really is about making a difference for those school children in our public schools.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ige. And we have Catherine Cruz with a question for Mr. Hanneman.
Mr. Hanneman, is the state requiring developers building pricey condos in Kaka'ako? Should there be more affordable units and impact fees for schools and parks?
I believe we need to change the situation in Kaka'ako by returning Kaka'ako to the city. When Kaka'ako has been under the state jurisdiction, we've seen now a plethora of luxurious high-rises that are being built. I really believe we need proper planning to be put into place. A transit-oriented development is a wonderful opportunity to bring about more affordable housing. And most importantly, if we want this to be a livable part of Honolulu, we are going to be able, I believe, with the city's approval process, to be able to work with developers to create public-private partnerships and the like. And the state doesn't remove itself entirely from it, because I believe the state is still obligated to do the infrastructure improvements on many of the approvals that they put into place. So yes, I think whether it's parks, whether it's other quality of life issues, I think by moving it to the city working collaboratively with the state, we'll see a trend that is happening now go away because of the emphasis on affordable housing in a livable city.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hanneman. Mr. Ige, your rebuttal.
Sure. I've said that Kaka'ako is happening too much too fast. There is a significant concern with the number of luxury high-rises being built. This past session, we listened to the people, and we made significant changes to the Hawaii Community Development Authority, which sets policy and makes decisions on behalf of Kaka'ako. We transformed the board, providing more balance and assuring a more representative board on the HCDA. And most importantly, we set height limits and establish new rules for transparency. All in all, I believe that this assures a better vision and better future for Kaka'ako.
Thank you very much.
In response to your question, Catherine, and your question was whether or not we should have more requirements for the Kaka'ako district, I would say absolutely. And as governor, what I would do, the legislature has basically tied the executive branch in regards to, making decisions for the Kaka'ako Special District. But with that said, the governor would still have input in regards to the board and directing policy. My policy would say this, because it hasn't happened on the city level. In fact, if you look at what's happening on the city level, you haven't had any affordable homes or developments built in, I think, decades. The only thing you've had is luxury condos. So I would give a mandate in regards to the amount, the percentage of affordable homes being built, but also not giving the developers an opportunity to basically opt out of that requirement, such as the city has been doing for the past decades.
All right, thank you, Mr. Iona. And now, Chad, you have a question for Mr. Ige.
Thank you, Paula. Mr. Ige, our prison system is plagued by problems: suicides, escapes, overcrowding, cancellation of visitation days. What's your plan to address these problems?
You know, the public safety system is a big challenge for our community. We do need to ensure the prisoners' rights to access to visitations. This does take cooperation with the public employee unions. We have to find a way within the existing contract to assure that we can staff the prison so that all of the prisoners have access to those visitations that they're entitled to. We did issue an RFP. One of the biggest challenges in our prison system is the fact that it's overcrowded. We have too many people in the facilities that we currently have, and most importantly, the facilities are very, very old and antiquated. We need to look for a new way forward. We have an RFP on the street today looking for a public-private partnership that would allow us to construct a new facility, which would allow us to begin the transition of the public safety system to something that's more humane and ensures rights of the prisoners.
Chad, the issues that you just listed in regards to the Department of Public Safety begins at the top. It really is about leadership. I've had the opportunity to speak to many of the ACOs and administrators at the department in the past couple of months, and they have informed me that it's really about having a clear vision in regards to the strategy and the development that they want in regards to public safety, and it begins as David had mentioned with a new facility. I think that needs to be a priority. That needs to be something that the legislature is going to have to would be able to support, and also to give the necessary resources that we would have to get that done. If you recall, when we took office back in 2002, the Cayetano administration had started that process in regards to getting a new facility. The legislature backed out on that.
Thank you, Mr. Iona. Mr. Hanneman.
I believe, and I'm in agreement with David Ige and Duke Iona, we do need a new prison facility. I think it was a mistake to send our prisoners to Arizona. It costs $58 million in that particular budget in the state to be able to have done that. And I think it begins with the governor demonstrating leadership, being willing to sit down with labor, being willing to sit down with the private sector and look for a private-public partnership to bring this about. I think, for example, where the Oahu facility is located there in Kalihi, I think that's a prime area that probably could be looked upon as a land exchange because it could bring about, it's a great site for a affordable housing to take place, and maybe we can move the prison someplace else. But in doing that, I want to be clear, that community that's going to house this new facility should be given a community benefits package, and we in the state of Hawaii should be willing to do that because this community is where the new prison is going to sit.
Thank you, Mr. Hanneman. And now we have Catherine.
Well, this next question is about the Aloha Stadium. Mr. Iona, there are dueling plans about what to do with it. One common element is to replace the existing facility with a smaller stadium. What do you think should be done?
You know, I haven't seen I guess it's the design plan that the University of Hawaii had I guess received from their consultants. So I can't really comment on that. But I had always said that I believe that we have to do one of two things. Either we go into a private partnership, public-private partnership with somebody who wants to invest in the stadium and do it right, or we give the University of Hawaii some resources and some funds and have them build their own stadium on campus. I think this goes again to the core issue, and that is, where does the University of Hawaii Athletic Department want to take its football program? Do they want to stay in the conference that they're in, and if they're satisfied with that, then so be it and build accordingly? Or are they looking to take it to that next level in regards to being one of the elite teams in the country? And that's all dependent on them, but I think the people of Hawaii want a football team. We want a team that we want to cheer for, and so I'm supportive of getting them the best facility that we can get.
Thank you, Mr. Iona. Rebuttal, Mr. Ige.
It's funny that Duke would talk about building a new stadium. The fiscal reality of the situation is that there are no professional sports teams in Hawaii, and there really is no opportunity for a public-private partnership. The University of Hawaii is Hawaii's team. The stadium is a good facility. We've made significant investments over the last several years to bring it up to standard. It will have to host our games for the next several years. A new stadium can cost anywhere from $100, $200, $300 million. And what schools are you going to shut down? What facilities, what university facilities or court facilities are we going to forgo in order to construct the stadium?
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Hanneman.
I think we need to think big. I'm the only one running for governor that's actually engaged in public-private partnerships. I'm the only one running for governor that is engaged with and done business with major sports organizations throughout the world. So I believe we can build a new facility by finding the right partner. Perhaps it's going to come from Asia, and look at creative ways to be able to do this. We have the transit-oriented development opportunity with transit running right through Halava, so I'd like to see it exist in the same place. I don't want to see the university build a new stadium on its own. I think this stadium should be for the university. I would give them a greater share of the revenues, something that has been conspicuously missing in the past, and have a facility right there where we can continue to be proud of, bring in major events, have it be a venue for high school football and sports and other sports that are emerging, such as soccer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hanneman.